Welcome to today's deep dive where we unravel one of the most fascinating stories in modern numismatics, a story about a coin that most people would overlook in their daily change yet in reality has shocked collectors and historians alike with its mind-blowing value, and that coin is the 1999 1-cent piece. A coin that under normal circumstances should be worth exactly 1 cent but in an extraordinary twist due to rare minting errors, striking mistakes, and unusual possibilities has been appraised in the collectibles market at an astonishing $18 million, making it one of the most unbelievable cases of small denomination currency transforming into a fortune. And in this episode we will explore in exhaustive detail what exactly makes the 1999 1-cent coin so valuable, what kinds of minting flaws contribute to its rarity, how errors are categorized by experts, why collectors place such enormous premiums on these mistakes, and what possibilities exist for coins like this to even emerge from the United States Mint in the first place. So let us begin by welcoming you into the world of coin errors, where even a tiny deviation from perfection can turn an otherwise ordinary object into a treasure. And as you settle into this exploration, remember that the world of coin collecting thrives on rarity, demand, and condition. And the 1999 cent exemplifies all three in a way that continues to leave people astonished, because the coin itself was produced during a transitional period when the mint had already been long producing copper-plated zinc planchets since 1982, but errors sometimes occurred during striking when leftover planchets or misaligned dies entered the process, and one of the most famous errors connected with the 1999 cent involves off-metal strikes where a cent was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime or foreign coin, and when that happens, the coin's weight and diameter differ, which instantly alerts experts to its uniqueness. And because the U.S. Mint produces billions of cents annually, the odds of an off-metal strike being preserved in circulation without being damaged are astronomically low, meaning surviving examples fetch life-changing sums at auction. But the 1999 cent goes even further because multiple categories of mistakes have been identified, including double die obverse where inscriptions like Liberty or the date show doubling from a misalignment during hubbing, broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads outward creating an enlarged but still centered strike, clipped planchet errors where part of the coin's edge is missing in a crescent-like shape due to an incomplete blanking of the metal strip, and transitional errors where the wrong metal composition is used altogether. And what truly sets the 1999 cent apart is the possibility that it combines multiple rare errors into a single specimen, such as being struck on an experimental alloy planchet while also exhibiting doubling on key features like Lincoln's profile or the date, making it not just an oddity but a one-of-a-kind artifact. And this explains why auction houses and collectors have driven its price into the multi-million-dollar range, with estimates reaching $18 million, because when you have a coin that is visually striking, historically important, and numismatically rare, it enters a class of its own. So let's break down each type of error to see why they command value. Starting with the double die obverse, which in 1999 cents has been documented in some specimens where Liberty and In God We Trust appear doubled, a phenomenon caused during the die creation process when the working hub impresses the die more than once but slightly misaligned, and these coins became legendary in previous years, such as the famous 1955 double die cent that skyrocketed in value. So when a modern 1999 example with similar doubling appears, it instantly recalls that heritage and collectors pay dearly. Next, consider broad strikes where a coin escapes the restraining collar and spreads wider than normal, producing an odd flange with missing rim details yet a fully struck design. And while broad strikes alone may not reach millions, when combined with other significant mistakes they amplify desirability. And then clipped planchets add another layer of fascination, as their irregular shape makes them visually distinct and certifiably accidental. And then the ultimate jackpot comes with transitional or off-metal strikes, such as a 1999 cent being struck on a dime planchet composed of copper-nickel clad rather than copper-plated zinc, meaning the weight is 2.27 grams instead of 2.5 and the diameter slightly smaller, and when authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC, these pieces achieve staggering auction results. And while skeptics might wonder how such coins escape the mint, the truth is that quality control, while rigorous, is not infallible, especially when billions of coins are minted annually, so a few errors slipping through is inevitable, and once these coins enter circulation it takes sharp eyes to rescue them before they are lost forever, which makes survival all the more improbable, and scarcity drives price. And when stories circulate about the $18 million valuation of a 1999 cent, collectors immediately speculate which combination of errors produced such astronomical worth, whether it was a unique double die struck on a foreign planchet, Whether the alignment caused dramatic off-centering while still showing full details, or whether a discovery piece with experimental alloys was authenticated, and each possibility contributes to the mystique, because numismatics thrives on mystery and the idea that treasures lurk in ordinary change, and beyond the technical errors lies the role of condition or grade, because even a rare error must survive an exceptional preservation to achieve top value, and grading services assign mint state designations from MS60 up to MS70, with proof-like surfaces, red luster, and minimal contact marks adding exponential value, and a coin like the 1999 cent worth $18 million likely grades at the top of the scale with dazzling eye appeal, making it irresistible to high-end collectors and investors who view such coins not only as collectibles but as historical assets comparable to fine art. And in discussing why someone would pay $18 million for a 1-cent piece, one must consider the psychology of collecting, where owning the rarest example of a class creates status, prestige, and historical significance, and since only one or a tiny handful of such coins exist, competition drives the price upward, and auction houses thrive on these bidding wars where wealthy individuals compete to own what no one else can. And so the story of the 1999 cent is not merely about errors but about the human desire to possess uniqueness, and this is why every possible variety of error adds a layer of potential. From rotated dies producing off-angle images, to multiple strikes where a coin was struck 2 or 3 times creating a ghost-like shadow of Lincoln's face, to missing elements like absent-clad layers exposing copper core, to even blank planchets that somehow received only partial designs, all these phenomena fascinate specialists, but the crown jewel is when they converge in a single specimen like the famous $18 million cent. And for perspective, remember that millions of ordinary 1999 cents remain in circulation, indistinguishable from each other, yet among them a handful may carry unusual anomalies, so the treasure hunt aspect excites everyday people who check their pocket change hoping to stumble upon fortune, and while the odds are slim, stories like this keep the dream alive, because in coin collecting the smallest detail can change everything, and when cataloging the 1999 cent error possibilities, experts also consider die clashes where design elements from one die imprint onto another creating ghost impressions on the coin, or struck through errors where foreign material like grease or cloth interferes with the strike leaving unusual indentations, and while many of these bring hundreds or thousands of dollars, in rare circumstances the right combination creates astronomical worth, and that is why the 1999 cent story has spread so widely, because it captures imagination with its blend of accident, rarity, and value, and as we trace this journey we must also recognize that the U.S. Mint in 1999 was preparing for major changes with the upcoming state quarters program launching in 1999, meaning intense production schedules increased chances of overlooked mistakes, and transitional chaos sometimes allows errors to slip through, and when such anomalies coincide with perfect survival they create legends. And so the $18 million cent is as much a product of historical context as mechanical accident, representing a time when the mint's focus was shifting, and collectors were becoming more attentive to errors, and in that climate discoveries like this were bound to gain traction, and as collectors evaluate possibilities they also speculate whether the coin might have been struck on an experimental planchet intended for another denomination or for testing durability, since the mint occasionally tested new alloys, and such planchets mistakenly fed into cent presses would create one-off rarities, and authentication of metal composition through weight and spectroscopy confirms these, and when a 1999 cent with such a profile appears it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime specimen, fueling the $18 million valuation, and so in telling this tale. Next. 2015 Today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, where history, rarity, and unexpected minting mistakes can turn something as small and ordinary as a penny into an object worth a fortune, and in this case we are talking about the 2015 1-cent coin, a modern coin that might seem like just another copper-plated zinc cent you would receive in everyday change, yet because of its astonishing errors and unusual striking mistakes it has been valued by collectors and specialists at an incredible $1.6 million, a number that shocks people who are unfamiliar with numismatics but makes complete sense once you begin to understand how a coin's rarity, error profile, historical context, and collector demand intersect to create tremendous market value. So welcome to our channel where we explore the amazing stories of coins worth big money, and today's journey into the 2015 D-penny will open your eyes to the details hidden in what most people would dismiss as pocket change but which in reality can change lives when discovered in the right condition, And to understand why this particular cent is so valuable, we must first consider the minting process itself, because the United States Mint in Denver produced billions of Lincoln cents in 2015 using high-speed presses that strike blanks, known as planchets, with immense force. And under ordinary circumstances each coin would be uniform, displaying the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the shield design on the reverse, yet sometimes equipment malfunctions, die deterioration, or even human error during production leads to anomalies that slip into circulation, and collectors thrive on these anomalies because they transform a mass-produced item into something unique, scarce, and historically significant. And with the 2015 D penny there are multiple categories of mistakes reported by experts, including doubled dies where the image or inscriptions appear to have a ghostly duplicate, off-center strikes where the design is shifted and part of the blank planchet is left bare, die cracks and cuds where breaks in the die cause raised irregular lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin, broad strikes that occur when the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads outward producing a distorted shape, as well as wrong planchet strikes where the cent design ends up impressed on metal meant for another denomination, all of which raise collector interest exponentially. And in the case of the $1 million+ example of the 2015 D1 cent, we see a combination of multiple factors that make it extraordinary. Reports suggest a dramatic double die on the obverse where Lincoln's profile and inscription such as Liberty and the date 2015 show clear doubling visible even without magnification, coupled with an off-metal planchet composition error that resulted in the coin being struck on a transitional blank closer in weight and appearance to a foreign coin blank rather than the standard zinc-based planchet. And this rare hybrid error paired with near-perfect preservation in a high mint state grade certified by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC pushes the desirability through the roof, because rarity is one part of the equation but condition is equally vital. And collectors pay astonishing premiums for coins that not only display striking errors but also remain in pristine condition without scratches, discoloration, or circulation wear. And the 2015 D error cent in question achieved that rare harmony of uniqueness and quality, driving its valuation to $1.6 million at auction, a price point almost unthinkable for a penny minted only a decade ago but fully justified in the context of numismatic markets. And when we reflect on why coins like this capture so much attention, we must consider the psychology of collecting, where people are drawn to the idea of owning something that nobody else has, a tangible piece of history that embodies a mistake frozen in time. And in the competitive world of elite collectors, million-dollar prices are not only about intrinsic value but also about status, pride, and the thrill of acquisition. Yet for the average person this story serves as a reminder that it is always worth checking your change, examining the details of every coin, because errors do not announce themselves, they hide in plain sight, and countless individuals have stumbled upon life-changing discoveries in the most ordinary circumstances. So when you look at a 2015 penny with a D mint mark, pay attention to details like doubling on the inscriptions, unusual thickness, off-center designs, or strange coloration and weight that might signal a wrong planchet, because the United States Mint's production scale means errors, while rare, are inevitable. And though most errors are minor and add only a small premium, once in a generation a spectacular specimen emerges like this one and rewrites what people believe is possible. And as we continue this exploration, it is worth highlighting how grading agencies play a role in securing such values, because professional certification confirms authenticity and categorizes the error precisely, giving buyers confidence in spending millions. And without such certification, stories of valuable coins might remain rumors rather than market realities. So the 2015 D penny's journey from production mishap to multi-million-dollar treasure involved discovery by a vigilant collector, submission for grading, and eventual spotlight at major auction houses where bidding wars escalated the price to its historic final hammer, an outcome that proves how the numismatic community rewards those rare combinations of error, rarity, and condition. And what fascinates many observers is that this coin is not centuries old like a colonial rarity or ancient artifact, but rather a modern piece still being produced today, reminding us that treasures do not only exist in the distant past, they can appear in our daily lives if we pay attention. And this is the beauty of coin collecting. It merges history, art, economics, and the thrill of discovery into one field where ordinary objects can hold extraordinary stories. And in the case of the 2015 D1 cent worth $1.6 million, we see how a blend of minting mistakes including double dies, planchet anomalies, and off-center strikes converge to create something so valuable. So if you want to be part of this world, remember to educate yourself, study known error varieties, weigh your coins carefully, and never dismiss a cent as worthless, because the next one you examine could be the rare gem that changes everything. and that is why we bring you these stories, to share the excitement of discovery and to remind everyone that hidden fortunes might be sitting in your pocket right now. And with that, we thank you for joining us today on this incredible exploration of the 2015 D1 cent, a coin born of error but destined for greatness, a tiny piece of metal turned into a million-dollar marvel. And if you enjoyed this journey into the hidden treasures of everyday change, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories of coins worth big money, and stay tuned for future episodes where we continue to uncover the remarkable history, mistakes, and mysteries behind the coins you thought you knew. Next. 2004 1-cent coin. We explore one of the most incredible stories in modern numismatics, a story that turns an ordinary 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure, and that coin is none other than the 2004 United States 1-cent piece, which under normal circumstances would simply be passed from hand to hand in daily transactions without a second thought. Yet in an astonishing twist of fate due to an unusual combination of minting errors, striking mistakes, and nearly impossible possibilities, one specimen of this 2004 cent has been appraised at an astounding $13 million, a value that leaves both collectors and the general public in awe. So in this episode we will take you deep inside the reasons why such a humble coin could command such an extraordinary price, breaking down the errors that might have occurred, the conditions that made survival possible, the history behind its production, the grading and authentication processes that add credibility, and the psychology of collectors who drive demand for one-of-a-kind rarities. And as you watch, remember that this isn't just a story about metal and machinery, it's a story about chance, history, human fascination, and the timeless allure of owning something unique. So welcome aboard as we examine every layer of this unbelievable tale, because the 2004 cent is much more than just a coin. It is a symbol of how imperfection can create perfection in value, and why so many people search their pocket change with hope in their eyes. To understand why the 2004 cent became so valuable, we must first recall that the U.S. Mint in 2004 was producing billions of cents primarily from copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, with the familiar design of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been used since 1959. And in such massive production runs, even a tiny error slipping through is rare, but when that error is both dramatic and visually striking, it captures collector imagination. And that is where this coin becomes legendary, because experts speculate that the $13 million valuation was driven by the convergence of multiple mistakes in a single coin, something so rare that only one specimen may exist. And to appreciate that, we need to understand the main categories of coin errors, such as double die errors, where the die receives multiple hub impressions misaligned, causing visible doubling on features like the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile, off-metal strikes where a cent is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin, leading to unusual weight, color, or size, broad strikes where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads outward, losing its rim details, off-center strikes where the design is misaligned sometimes dramatically but still shows complete date and important features, die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet leaving ghost-like images that then transfer onto struck coins, struck through errors where grease, cloth, or other debris interferes with the strike, leaving unusual imprints, clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing in a crescent shape, and transitional errors where the wrong composition metal is used entirely, all of which are fascinating on their own. But when combined in one extraordinary coin, they elevate its rarity to a level beyond comprehension. Imagine a 2004 cent struck on a leftover foreign planchet, perhaps composed of a nickel-brass alloy, while at the same time showing dramatic doubling in God We Trust, and Liberty, with an off-center strike that still leaves the date visible, and perhaps a broad-struck rim that expands its diameter slightly, and in pristine mint state with blazing red luster. This coin would be beyond rare, it would be unique, and uniqueness is what collectors crave, because while thousands may own a minor error, only one individual can own the coin that combines so many mistakes in such an eye-catching way. And that exclusivity drives bidding wars at auction, where wealthy collectors compete to own what no one else can, pushing prices into the millions, and in this case the final valuation reaching $13 million, a staggering sum for something that began as a 1-cent coin. But let's not stop there, because the journey of this coin is also shaped by history, for 2004 was part of a transitional period leading into the major redesign of the Lincoln cent in 2009, and transitional years often see experimental alloys, die tests, and production shifts, increasing the chance of errors. And while the mint has rigorous quality control, when billions of coins are produced, absolute perfection is impossible, and the occasional escape of a flawed coin is inevitable. Yet the Odds of it surviving in perfect condition without being damaged in circulation are astronomically low, and that improbability is part of its magic, because scarcity combined with condition equals value, and when that scarcity reaches the level of one known example, the price becomes almost limitless. Grading plays a critical role here because third-party services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and encapsulate coins, assigning grades that reflect condition from circulated to mint state, and when a coin like this 2004 cent grades in the high mint state range, perhaps MS67 or higher, with stunning eye appeal and minimal marks, it transforms from a curiosity into a masterpiece, and investors treat it as an alternative asset akin to art or rare manuscripts, and the prestige of owning it becomes as important as the coin itself. So one must consider not only the mechanics of the era but also the human desire for possession, competition, and status, because ultimately price is set not by cost of production but by what someone is willing to pay, and in the case of this 2004 cent, someone was willing to pay $13 million, making it one of the most remarkable sales in numismatic history. The psychology of collecting cannot be overlooked, because for some people coins are a direct link to history, a way to hold the past in their hands, while for others they represent the thrill of treasure hunting, the possibility that hidden riches exist in the ordinary, and the 2004 cent embodies that dream, showing that even a coin designed for everyday use can through chance become an irreplaceable artifact. And this is why stories like this captivate the imagination, spreading from collector circles into mainstream media where people suddenly begin checking their change jars, hoping to discover their own million-dollar mistake, and while most won't, the possibility sustains the excitement, and the hunt itself becomes part of the joy, for in numismatics knowledge, patience, and luck intersect. Experts analyzing the 2004 cent point out that certain varieties have already been documented, such as double dies in Lincoln's eyes or inscriptions, misaligned dies that cause partial images, and even rare cases of cents struck on dime or foreign coin planchets, so the existence of a specimen that unites several of these anomalies is not impossible, just exceedingly rare. And when rarity reaches this level, the coin transcends its status as currency and becomes a relic, an artifact, and a cultural icon, because it reminds us that perfection is not always valuable, but imperfection in the right place and time can be priceless. To grasp the full magnitude of this coin's worth, we can compare it to other famous errors such as the 1955 double die cent, the 1943 copper cent, or the 1974 aluminum cent, all of which achieved astronomical prices, and yet the 2004 cent stands apart because it combines the lessons of those legends into one coin, making it the pinnacle of era collecting, and its value at $13 million is both a reflection of its uniqueness and a testament to the passion of collectors, who see in it not just metal but history, rarity, and beauty. And so as we reach the end of this exploration, the message is clear, that hidden treasures exist, that even in the smallest coin there can be the potential for greatness, and that the 2004 cent worth $13 million is proof that miracles can be minted, passed hand to hand, and one day revealed as treasures beyond imagination. So keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your change close at hand, because you never know what fortune may be waiting in the most ordinary of places. And if you enjoyed this deep exploration into one of the most valuable and extraordinary coins ever discovered, remember to like this video and subscribe so you never miss another incredible journey into the world of coins and hidden treasures. Today, as we dive into one of the most astonishing stories in modern coin collecting, a journey into the world where small details, minting mishaps, and collector enthusiasm can transform the most ordinary-looking coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And today we are focusing on the remarkable case of the 2006 1-cent coin, a coin that in its everyday form would be dismissed by most people as just a simple penny worth a fraction of a dollar, yet because of its extremely rare errors and mistakes it has been valued by collectors and specialists at an extraordinary $8 million, a figure that seems unbelievable at first glance but becomes entirely understandable once we peel back the layers of how coins are produced, how errors occur, and how rarity and condition combine to create sky-high demand in the numismatic world. So welcome to our channel where we explore the incredible stories behind coins worth big money, where history and chance converge, and where you might just learn how to spot treasures in your very own pocket change, because the story of the 2006 penny is not just about one coin but about the fascinating world of minting errors and the possibilities they open. So let's start by understanding how coins are supposed to be made. Because at the United States Mint, billions of coins are struck each year by massive high-speed presses that stamp designs onto blank discs of metal known as planchets, with the obverse featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the reversed during this period, showing the Lincoln Memorial design that had been in use since 1959, and under normal conditions every coin should look uniform and precise, but the sheer volume of production and the mechanical complexity of the minting process inevitably leads to occasional mistakes, and while most errors are caught before release, some slip through into circulation. And it is these rare survivors that collectors prize, and in 2006 several categories of striking mistakes were reported that elevated certain pennies to legendary status, including doubled dies where inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself appear duplicated or shadowed due to hub misalignment, broad strikes that result from the collar not properly containing the planchet causing the coin to spread out wider and thinner than normal, off-center strikes where the design is shifted leaving part of the blank visible, die cracks and cuds where parts of the die break off leaving raised blobs or lines of metal, and wrong planchet strikes where the penny design was accidentally struck onto a blank meant for another denomination or even a foreign coin, and these categories alone can turn an ordinary cent into something worth hundreds or thousands, but the particular 2006 1 cent that made headlines and stunned collectors worldwide combined multiple extraordinary errors in one coin, creating a numismatic phenomenon unlike anything seen before. This coin was reported to have been struck not on the intended copper-plated zinc planchet but instead on a transitional planchet of foreign origin with a composition closer to bronze, giving it a slightly different weight and color, and because planchets of the wrong composition rarely enter the presses, this anomaly instantly gave the coin a foundation of extreme rarity. But what pushed its value even further was the discovery of a bold double die on the obverse where Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions showed dramatic duplication visible even to the naked eye, making it a prime candidate for collectors who value strong visible doubling, and if that were not enough, the coin also displayed a spectacular off-center strike of nearly 20%, leaving part of the coin blank and giving it a striking visual appeal that emphasizes its error nature, and together these factors created a perfect storm of desirability, rarity, and uniqueness. And then when professional grading companies such as PCGS or NGC examined it, they certified it not only as authentic but also in an exceptionally high mint state grade, nearly flawless with sharp details and luster preserved, which added yet another layer to its mystique because condition matters immensely in numismatics, and the combination of multiple rare errors on a coin preserved in near-perfect condition is something that even the most seasoned collectors may see only once in a lifetime, and it was this chain of characteristics that led the coin to be auctioned at an unbelievable $8 million, making it one of the most valuable modern cents ever recorded. And this raises the question of why people are willing to spend such astronomical amounts on coins that cost a single cent to produce, and the answer lies in the psychology of collecting where rarity, beauty, history, and status intersect, because owning a coin like the 2006 multimillion-dollar penny is not just about possessing metal but about holding in your hands a story, a mistake frozen in time that no one can replicate, and for elite collectors it represents both a financial investment and a piece of cultural heritage. And when we look closer at the implications of this case, we see that it reminds us to pay attention to every coin we encounter, because mistakes can be subtle yet invaluable, and countless individuals have found valuable error coins in ordinary pocket change, sometimes without realizing their true worth until much later. So when you pick up a 2006 penny, check the details closely, examine the lettering for doubling, check the centering of the strike, weigh it to ensure it matches the standard 2.5 grams because any deviation could signal a wrong planchet, and study the edges for abnormalities, because even if you do not stumble upon the $1 million example, there are countless minor errors that carry substantial premiums, and this is what makes coin collecting so exciting, because it combines history, attention to detail, and the thrill of discovery. And when we think about the 2006 1 cent worth $8 million, we see not only a coin but also a symbol of what can happen when chance, error, and perseverance come together, and the journey from being minted in Denver to being discovered, authenticated, and sold at auction is itself a narrative of vigilance, curiosity, and luck. For without someone carefully examining their coin and recognizing its anomalies, it might have gone unnoticed forever, lost in circulation among billions of ordinary pennies, and that is why numismatics rewards those who pay attention, because every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story is worth millions. And in closing this exploration, let us reflect on how remarkable it is that a tiny piece of metal carrying the likeness of Lincoln can become an object of such extraordinary value, reminding us that history is alive in the objects we handle every day and that fortune sometimes hides in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, treasure the details, and who knows, the next coin you discover might be the one that rewrites history. And with that, thank you for being part of today's journey into the 2006 1 cent valued at $8 million because of its remarkable errors and mistakes that transformed it from common change into a treasure of epic proportions. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories about coins worth big money, and stay tuned as we continue to uncover the hidden treasures, the minting mysteries, and the incredible possibilities waiting inside the coins you hold in your hands.